What is the importance of natural gas as a source of energy in India? What are, second part, what are the different ways of extracting natural gas? At least the second part is simple. We've just discussed all of those things. Now, the first part also, even though we have not discussed anything, I'm pretty sure using your, what do you say, knowledge with respect to your general studies, you should have been able to answer. So, how can you start the answer for this particular question? Very simple. You may start by saying that natural gas is nothing but methane, correct? It is a naturally occurring fossil fuel, which is an important source of energy for us. Okay. Yesterday, when we started off discussing about energy, I told you that natural gas is responsible for what? Around 10% of power production in India. So you can start by saying that after explaining what is natural gas in 2 or 3 lines, what can you say? Natural gas plays a very important role in the energy matrix of India, where it is responsible for producing amount around 10% of power in India. Correct? So you have a proper good introduction where you're connecting it to India, since the question also asks about India. Second, what is it asking? What is the role of natural gas in India? Correct? What have you written? What could be the different roles of natural gas? Now, again, one thing is that there are two parts. So it is very important that you not get carried away. So what happens in answer writing with respect to mains is that either you have too little information or you have too much of information. You have how many pages? For example, if it is 10 marks, 2 pages. So even with this much amount of information, you should fill 2 pages, at least 1.5 page. If you have too much of information, you must compress it in a proper structured manner and finish it in 2 pages. So the first part of the question, you should finish it in at least 1 page. You cannot take more than 1 page. Correct? If you think that you will write for more than 1 page, then you will not be able to address or justify with respect to weightage. I'm saying that is the second part of the question. Okay. Okay. So what is the important role of natural gas in India? What an important source of energy. So write the heading: important source of energy. Then break it down: for running vehicles, for cooking, as a source of power. 3 you must be able to write. Heading, what will you write? I mean, subheading, I'm saying. A subheading, you can say it is an important source of energy, and then you can, you'll write important source of energy. Important source of energy, and draw like this: for running vehicles. Okay, for cooking, as cooking fuel, to produce power. Rather than writing one sentence for each, you can write one sentence for each, right? Methane gas can be used for running vehicles. Second point, methane gas can be used as a cooking fuel. You will do that when you don't have points. But if you have points, shorten it. If you don't have points, write it in one single sentence entirely. Take 2 lines to convey 1 point. Okay, so again, all of this will come with practice. All of this will only come with practice. I will tell you many things. By the time you go and write, you will not even remember. Okay, so it is important that you practice, because as you practice, you will get that skill. Okay, next. Exactly. So the most important point is that we can reduce dependence on crude oil, because to a great extent our current account deficit, okay, a huge amount of money is spent on importing crude oil. So our dependence on crude oil can be reduced. Our dependence on crude oil, which is being imported from elsewhere, can be reduced.
New extraction unit generates new employment.
Correct. Exactly. New employment opportunities. And now, if we start extracting natural gas in India that we have not exploited as of yet, natural exploitation of natural gas in India has not been considered to any great extent. We have not focused on it. So now we may slowly start focusing on exploitation of natural gas in India, which will create employment, which will create private sector investment in India. This will add to revenue and GDP, and will also diversify the energy matrix even more. Okay. We are actually yet to, we have not identified all natural gas reserves in India. So there could be more reserves of natural gas along the coastal region. See, we have around more than 6,000, around 6 to 7,000 kilometers of coastal belt. But have we exploited all the resources along the coastal belt? No. We have not yet done that. We have not yet done that. So there could be more reserves of natural gas which we are yet to exploit and discover. We are, see, for example, there is Nepal is there. So we will supply them petroleum. That is there. Why? Because it is a landlocked nation. Even LPG cylinders we give them. That is there because it is a landlocked nation. Bhutan, Nepal, they are entirely dependent on us. If you are meaning by from an economic point of view, I doubt it. See, Nepal, we supply fuel, correct. Nepal, we supply fuel. Obviously, where will Nepal get fuel from? Everything has to come from India itself. They will threaten us from every now and then. Now China, then Turkey. Fine, get it across the Himalaya, we'll also see. And that's not going to happen. Okay, so with this respect, this point, I have a bit of reservation, but I wouldn't invalidate it entirely. You may write it as a point in your answer. It doesn't hurt. Then exactly. So one of the main important points is that it is environment friendly when compared to other sources of fossil fuels. So what will happen? This will help India in meeting many of its commitments with respect to reducing our emissions, reducing pollution, especially in cities like Delhi and all, where there is a very high amount of black carbon, soot particles, and pollutants, as well as red haze due to these nitrogenous gases being emitted into the atmosphere. So this will act as a very clean source of fuel, and this will help in bringing down emission of pollutants into the atmosphere. So this is one very one important, but you have to write, must write. Okay. No, see, I agree. When you don't, I'm not saying he is wrong. When you don't have points, you have to write something. I've told you, you have to write something. Write something. Okay. But since we're discussing, I'm asking you, which goal? Again, I have reservation with respect to this point. Personally, fine saying, because if there's a person who knows the subject very well, the person who's correcting, and if he specifically reads one point which he feels it is wrong, then what will happen is that he might read other points also. So even if you are beating around, even if you're writing things, ensure that you're beating around the bush itself, not going too far away. Because again, how is it helping goal? I again have a bit of reservation with respect to what? Because clean source of fuel, yes. Are you saying affordable access to energy? That is a goal. That is part of your SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Yes, access to affordable, clean energy source is there. Are you meaning that, or is there something else? Is okay? Okay, fine. So access to clean and affordable source of energy. Someone's written here. So correct. So for vehicles, running vehicles, industrial sector, transportation, at house, cooking. Yes. Okay. One important benefit of using natural gas is that natural gas is actually a major source of hydrogen. So if we are talking about hydrogen as a fuel, where do we get hydrogen? Okay, so methane is one of the major sources of extracting hydrogen. So we are able to separate carbon and hydrogen, and this hydrogen is used as fuel. Okay, so it is one of the major sources of hydrogen as a fuel. And since it is a major source of hydrogen, this hydrogen is also used in production of fertilizers, ammonia production. So what happens is that this is like an ancillary, what do you say? I wouldn't say spillover. There is a direct benefit of it. So to that fertilizer industry where hydrogen is used in this, you'd have heard of this Haber process, right? in fertilizer production? Fine. When agriculture is taken, it will be covered. Okay, Haber process. Haber process is the way of producing ammonia, which ammonia, at least you should know that it is a major source of fertilizer. So this also helps in producing fertilizers. One is hydrogen. There is something known as the hydrogen policy also now. Now the government is focusing on using hydrogen as a source of fuel. So you have pink hydrogen, blue hydrogen, gray hydrogen. So one of these colors is based on extracting hydrogen from methane. From methane. Okay, so this is another benefit of methane. Okay, now importance you have written, but at the same time, if the question says analyze anta, then you should also be able to write drawbacks. You should also be able to write drawbacks. Now, what are the drawbacks of using methane as a source of energy? First drawback is obviously it is a fossil fuel. It is once again emitting carbon dioxide if we combust it. Or one other drawback, major drawback of methane is that methane is I told you, it is a very potent greenhouse gas. And whenever you make use of methane, there is always leakage or escape of methane gas into the atmosphere. That is always there, no matter what you do. And therefore, this again contributes to global warming, greenhouse effect. The second thing is that once again, methane, we have not yet identified any major source of methane in India as such for, for commercial exploitation that we are able to fuel the country itself. So what happens, even though we are using methane, to a great extent, we are importing methane also. We are importing methane also. You would have heard of TAPI? TAPI? Yes. So TAPI is what? Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So what are we doing? We are laying a pipe from Turkmenistan to India through Afghanistan and Pakistan. This is another TAPI gas pipeline. Okay, so this is a major investment that India is doing in order to supply natural gas to us. So you can see that this is also helping us to improve our relationships with Central Asia. But at the same time, it is also importing. We are spending amount of money for importing natural gas into India because we are not sure if there is major sources of natural gas in the country. So this also, you have to write different dimensions. Just because the question says something, if you don't have time, I understand. Stick to what the question is asking for. But if you have time, and this time you have to make, everybody has 3 hours. You have to make time. For that, your thinking has to, evolve. The rate, the pace at which you are able to think and come out with points, link different things. That again, how do you develop that? Through practice. Okay, so this you'll have to write. Now you come to the second part of the question. Second part of the question, I don't think I have to explain. Correct? You are able to? Okay. Now the question is, did anyone draw something like this? You drew? That is, you have to draw. Okay, because especially if you don't have time, draw something like this: tight gas, natural gas, shale gas, and the heartbeat tray. You just draw this small diagram, you draw. Okay, you draw something like this, immediately you will get extra marks. Okay, I told you, wherever possible, draw diagrams. So draw something like this, and then explain. So what happens when you draw this? When you draw this and write, you may reduce the number of words that you use to explain. Okay, again, please don't spend time in beautifying the diagram and all. Very simple diagram, as much as so that the examiner, the evaluator is able to understand, it is more than enough. Okay, so if you're able to draw diagrams, draw the diagram. Like for example, even in geography, volcanic eruption, volcanism would have been explained to you. Correct? In volcanism, if a question is asked about volcanism, you can divide, top half of the page, for example, you can divide it into 2. Here you may draw a small volcanic eruption and explain it. In the other half, draw the Pacific Ring of Fire and explain. Oh, this is a major area of volcanic eruption, distribution of volcanic eruption. Do something like that. Everybody will write answer. Everybody will have points. But do something extra. Okay. Is this clear?